everyone, it's Jack from cultaholic.com, and it's my favourite time of the week. Once again, it's Friday, and you know what that means? It's time for Wrestlers of the Week. Now, if you remember last week, there was a tie at the top between William Osprey and Roderick Strong. Sneaky Roderick Strong. I mean, I can see a bit of a narrative emerging here. Osprey has been very gallant. He's been wrestling good matches every week, all over the world, and he's managed to, rightly progress to the top of the table. Roderick Strong, sneaky Roderick Strong, has just waited for weeks when there's not too much action, zipped in there, and, had a good match, and then gained big chunks of points rather than working consistently like Osprey has. As if he's done that on purpose, which he obviously hasn't. But I like to think that in the back of his mind, Roddy's like, gonna have a barn burner of a match this week. That'll help me beat that bastard Osprey. I'm Jack from cultaholic.com once again, and this is time for my Wrestlers of the Week. First of all, many honourable mentions. I'll just zip through them right now on my piece of paper. Sami Zayn and Dolph Ziggler had a good match on SmackDown, but the booking was confusing. Mark Andrews and Tozawa had a good match in 205 Live, but they were better matches all around the world. Bad Bones and Mike Bailey had a really good match in WXW for the championship. Sasha Banks and Bailey had a good match on Raw. The old Bailey's back. I want to give a shout out to Keith Lee, who's just been really consistent since the start of the list, but hasn't really had a big memorable feud. He's just kind of been touring the UK and just battering lads. Jonathan Gresham and Jay Lethal had a good match on Ring of Honor TV. Stevie Boy won ICW's Rumble match, which is called the Square Go. And of course, Lana, who got her first win in WWE. That's the honourable mentions out of the way. Let's get into the list proper. Number 10, it's that slippery snake, Roderick Strong. He had a really good match on NXT against Pete Dunne for the United Kingdom Championship, and you're such a sneaky little devil, Roddy, aren't you? You try to have a good match this week, not thinking there'd be other better matches preventing you from getting further up the table. Well, we shall find out. We'll find out if Osprey or one of the chasing pack can do better later in the video. But for now, Roderick Strong, again, really good. The thing I enjoy about Roderick Strong is that whether he wins or loses a match, he lost this one, he still makes it seem compelling and full of drama. He's a very good seller, and he's very good when he fires up and hits a lot of offense. In both videos I've mentioned him so far, I think I've said, I wish that Roderick Strong was a heel. He's so much better as a heel. But I'm starting to realise as well, he's a bloody fantastic babyface too. I guess not everyone's so simple, guys. I guess we're humans and we're all complex creatures, and we have good and bad sides. Shades of grey. Number 9, and someone who I would have expected to be on this list already by now, but he's a newcomer to the list. Given the fact that he was one of the wrestlers of 2017 and had loads of great matches and is probably currently one of the best wrestlers in the world, I'd have totally expected Pete Dunne to be on this list already, but he's not. But this week he is. Pete Dunne gets 2 points after his great match with Roderick Strong on NXT. He is still the WWE United Kingdom Championship. Who's he going to lose it to? Who can beat him? He's really nasty. He bends fingers back and he bites people. Oh, that was so weird. But regardless of how long it may have taken him to get on the league table, he's here now. The party started. It's a party at Pete Dunne's house. A party at Pete Dunne's house will probably consist of like very strict vegan dishes and absolutely no alcohol. I'd probably rather go to Roderick's house for a party. Number 8 on the list, it's or William Regal's house for a party. He obviously hates Pete Dunne in kayfabe, and I think that Regal's parties would be sick. Imagine a party at William Regal's house. It would be ridiculous. There'd be some ridiculous things. It'd be really good. Tajiri would be there swinging off the light bulbs. Oh, yes, I want it. I want that. I want it. Number 8, let's head to 205 Live, where Dru Gulick picks up 3 big points. Welcome to the list, Drew. I don't think you've been on it before. Dru Gulick broke wrestling this week, kind of, because he was having a really good back and forth match with Tony Nese. Tony Nese just wouldn't go down, so Gulick decided to just hit all of his strongest moves again and again and again and again and again until Tony Nese couldn't fight him anymore. It makes total sense. That's how all wrestling matches should be, really, Drew. You've kind of figured out the system there, haven't you? This was a good new side of Dru Gulick. He was more vicious than usual. He even left his feet at one point for a drop kick, and all the commentators were like, "Whoa, he's left his feet," because obviously Gulick does the whole no-fly zone thing in 205 Live, but it looks like he's putting those principles aside because the Cruiserweight Championship means so much to him, and winning that would be such a huge achievement. He's really selling that, and that's really good. I just have one gripe, Drew, and that's that you would be my favourite to win the tournament, but you went and touched the belt, didn't you? You went and lifted the belt on the outside of the ring. It was on one of those plinths that the belt usually rests on when there's a tournament, and he lifted it above his head as if to be like, this is going to be me. If you know anything about wrestling, Drew, never touch the belt before you've won it, ever. You've given the fans the visual of it now. It might be too obvious. Oh, you silly goose. Number 7, 3 points. No. Number 7 and 4 points to another new member of the list, Dru Gulick's opponent, Tony Nese. Now, I'll hold my hands up and say that I've not been too familiar with Tony Nese's pre-WWE career. I know that he was highly regarded in promotions such as Evolve, but I didn't really know too much about him. Now that he's in WWE, he's kind of been one of the peripheral figures in 205 Live. This was his big moment. This was his best match in WWE so far. I think everyone will pretty much agree. And I was just blown away by what he could do. Obviously, he's a really good athlete, and he was doing loads of jumping kicks that I probably couldn't do in a million years. But the best thing here was how selfless he was. He made Dru Gulick look like a monster. And I was just really blown away by it. 205 Live now is so good, and it's largely just thanks to Triple H's simplified booking. He just says, go out there, lads, and just do what you can do and tell a story yourselves. And he really trusts the wrestlers, and it's really good. This has been a really serious point, and I haven't cracked a single joke. Welcome to the list, Tony Nese. Maybe your brother, Tony Nephew, can get on in. No. Number 6, Misaki Mochizuki. Now it's time to talk about Dragon Gate. I don't know much about Dragon Gate at all. I know that it's probably the number 2 promotion in Japan behind New Japan, and I know that it's heavily based around the concept of factions. Excuse me, but I don't really understand too much about the storylines and stuff. So I've had to do a lot of research for this one, and technically it took place last Thursday, not last Friday, or it didn't fall within the parameters of the week, but I only saw people talking about it this week, so I think it may have only been made available to watch this week. I'm putting it in anyway. I'm just giving it the benefit of the doubt, okay? Now, Mochizuki's like an old hand in Dragon Gate. He's like one of the aces of the company. He's like Tanahashi or Okada. He's been going for a long time. He's very respected now. And he's the Open the Dream Gate champion. They've got silly names for their belts, don't they? Open the Dream Gate, what does it mean? Anyway, he had a wonderful, wonderful match with a guy who we're going to talk about in a second. But I really like Mochizuki. He retained his belt successfully with a roll-up, and it kind of really sold the fact that even though he's this big, respected veteran, he still had to pull something unexpected out of the bag to put this challenger away. So welcome to the list, Mochizuki. You look terrifying, man. You look like you could turn my face into paste if you wanted. Number 5, a man named KZ. That's KZY. Not a popular YouTuber who does FIFA videos and boxing matches. KZY. KZ. Now, from what I can glean, he was one of the longest running heels in Dragon Gate, but he was never like a main event heel. He was kind of a mid-card, upper mid-card kind of guy. Started off with a rapper gimmick, like Cena, I guess. Now he's become a lot more serious, and he started to embrace his babyface side. Remember a few weeks ago when I talked about Darby Allin and how much I fell in love with him instantly? This is kind of how I feel about KZ as well. He seems like a really, really good wrestler who's just grafted for so long and is finally starting to blossom and bloom. KZ was Mochizuki's challenger, and although he didn't win the match, he's gained a hell of a lot of respect in the way that the match went down. Apparently the story was that KZ often relied on quick roll-ups, flash pins as he called them, to win matches that were maybe against opponents that he wasn't as good as. And the whole story here was that he was fighting bravely, he was about to beat the champion, and then the champion hit him with a flash roll-up. I like it, Dragon Gate. You're a clever bunch of lads, and I respect that. Number 4, my boy, Mr. Adidas Jacket himself, Sanada, over in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He had his big title match against Okada at New Beginning in Osaka, and I predicted that match was going to be a Match of the Year candidate. I don't know if it quite was. I think it was one of those like 4.5-star matches, and obviously, as we know these days, 5-star matches aren't really a rarity in wrestling. There's already been like there's even been one in WWE this year already. So I don't think by the end of the year we'll be talking about it as a Match of the Year contender, but Sanada, still, this was his best match in New Japan, his best singles match, certainly. Okada made him look like a great challenger. Sanada was hitting him with the skull end, his finisher, like submission kind of deal, which Okada sold wonderfully. It looked as though Sanada was going to actually win at quite a few stages. The problem is that no one really bought that Sanada was going to win. It's very much a case of like when an upper mid-card guy goes against someone like AJ Styles, you know that Styles is keeping the belt. Everyone knew Okada was keeping the belt, but by the end of the match, the crowd had kind of forgotten that and just become lost in the moment. And I think that is really the sign of an excellent main event, even when the opponents aren't too evenly matched. So well done, Sanada. Few little tidy points for you. Number 3, Kazuchika Okada. Now we all know the story with Okada. I don't want to waste too much time talking about how brilliant he was in this match, because he's always brilliant. He hit a dropkick where he jumped about 12 feet in the air. He was coming back. He started off as the cocky kind of arsehole champion, like, I'm on a different level to this kid, and then slowly started to realize, oh no, I'm in for a battle here, I'm in for a fight. But the problem that everyone's been talking about online is that this happens to Okada a lot. He pretty much starts every main event this way now. He starts thinking, I'm the Rainmaker, I'm the ace of New Japan, I'm the best, I'm obviously going to win. And then his challenger will fire up and, you know, he'll start to think, oh no, I've really got to pull some stuff out of the bag here. And then he does, and then he wins. I think this match has come in for some undue criticism, and I think it's only because of the timing of it. I think this is the straw that's kind of broken the camel's back for Okada with many people. They've kind of gone, this is what every Okada match looks like. This isn't the fault of Okada at all, it's the fault of the booking. It doesn't change the fact that he was one of the most impressive wrestlers of the week and is fully deserving of the 8 points I'm giving him, but it does mean that going forwards, something may have to change. He might start having to just knock lads out really quickly in like 10 minutes. It may even mean that he has to lose the belt in surprising fashion. Ooh, that'll be a big call. Number 2, and again, the undisputed leader of the Wrestlers of the Week league table, William Osprey. Will Osprey, 9 big points for you. He has leapt ahead once again of Roderick Strong, who tried to sneak in with 1 point. See if Osprey's going to do anything, and Osprey did. Osprey had a really good match against Hiromi Takahashi. Osprey retained his IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship and is looking like a very, very worthy champion indeed. This match was dangerous and risky and all the things you'd expect from an Osprey match. I cringed a few times watching it because of how dangerous some of the spots were, but they pulled it all off. And once again, Osprey has taken another giant step in establishing his legacy in New Japan. So well done, William. Well done. You're the leader once again. But remember, it's far from a foregone conclusion yet at the league table. It's far from done. It's only February, and also we've got some big weeks coming up. WrestleMania weekend, there should be a lot of points flying around. The G1 climax, I feel, in the end of the summer will also be huge. And finally, number 1, and my wrestler of the week for this week, Hiromi Takahashi. I've been wanting to make this guy wrestler of the week for a while, but he hasn't had a massive breakout match this year yet. This was his week. This was Takahashi's week. Yes, he lost to Osprey, but we haven't seen Takahashi this unhinged since maybe he came back to New Japan under the ticking time bomb gimmick. This was like, Takahashi's funny, isn't he? He comes out with a toy cat and everyone's like, oh, he's so childish and crazy. He tweets Osprey late at night saying, oh, are you awake? He actually does that as well. That's not me making it up, he actually does that. But because of all this comedy and because of how charismatic he is, we often forget that at the core of his character, Takahashi's just a very dangerous man. He reminded us all in a very timely fashion this week at New Beginning in Osaka. It was dangerous to watch. His sunset flip powerbomb thing to the outside is one of the best but worst moves in wrestling. Every time he does it to someone, I'm just like, oh, don't hurt them. Don't hurt yourself as well. He didn't. It was all fine. And yes, he lost the match, but he reminded us all how he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. Well done, Takahashi. You're my wrestler of the week. 10 big old points to you. 10. Not Ty Dillinger, Hiromi Takahashi. Now, if we look at the league table, you can see that Osprey has once again cleanly jumped out ahead, but Roderick Strong remains in second place. Look at the chasing pack as well, some very good names there. Johnny Gargano, Minoru Suzuki, Aleister Black, and all the rest of it. As we move further down, there's some guys who haven't appeared for a while. Kenny Omega only made the list in week 1 when he was wrestler of the week. He's still stuck on 10 points. When will Omega pick up some more points again? I'm counting on you, Kenny. I'm counting on you a lot, my friend. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com, and you can follow me on Twitter here. If you enjoy what we do, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly of all, do not forget to subscribe and to join us.